Everyone in the family can see the countdown above Eli Nash's final part. That kid is still throwing a tantrum. Dad sighed and stood up in disappointment. He then pushed the bread a bit further into the crack of the door and said, "You should just stay put and stop acting out. I'll definitely make it up to you once Eli is no longer around." I didn't wait for him to discover me in the storage room. I looked at his retreating figure and said softly, "It won't be necessary, Dad. You don't need to make it up to me anymore." I silently told myself that they would never have the chance to do that anymore. Then, after Dad walked away, the hallway returned to complete silence again. It was then that a faint noise came from the living room. Mom walked out of Eli's bedroom, gently closed the door, and stood in the hallway in a daze. She stared at the storage room door, her lips pressed tightly together as if she were wrestling with herself. She eventually walked over and crouched down where Dad had just been. She then said softly, "I hope you won't blame me for this, Ash. I know you've suffered a lot all these years." Mom absent-mindedly picked at a splinter on the door as she continued, "Eli only has one day left, so please just let him have his way and let him leave the world in peace." Ash, I drifted over to her and noticed the tears glistening in her eyes. Mom raised her hands and quickly wiped away her tears, as though afraid of being caught. "I'll make your favorite braised short ribs once Eli is gone. I'll make a whole lot of them, and they'll all be yours." Mom's voice grew fainter until it was almost a murmur. "I'll get you those new sneakers, the ones with the Star Players logo that you've been eyeing for half a year, and take you to a live basketball game. Didn't you say everyone in your class has gone for the game except for you, Ash?" She finally broke down, her tears splashing onto the worn tiles of the hallway and leaving a small dark stain. "I'll give you everything you want, so please don't act up just for today, alright, Ash?" I reached out, wanting to wipe away her tears. Mom waited for a moment, but it was still dead silent behind the door, causing her expression of sadness to slowly shift into annoyance. She abruptly rose to her feet, stumbling a little from the sudden movement. "How can you be so inconsiderate, Ash?" She muttered a curse under her breath, her voice thick with tears. "What was the point of raising you all these years if you have zero consideration for your parents?" She turned around and strode away after saying that, her posture rigid. It was almost dusk, and the sky began to grow dark. Mom stepped out of the kitchen with a small basket filled with some crepe paper streamers, a handful of balloons, and a pair of scissors, everything she needed to decorate for Eli's birthday. She had just reached the living room when the doorbell rang. It was Grandma, Nora Cole. She was carrying a bulging bag, and the moment she noticed Mom, she flashed her a reluctant smile. "What brings you here, Mom?" Mom asked in surprise as she quickly moved to the side to let Grandma inside. "I came by to see Eli," Grandma replied, her voice sounding somewhat raspy. She then placed the bag on the table and took out a few apples and baked goods. "It's his birthday tomorrow, so I wanted to see him. Eli is resting in his room. You should have a seat first, Mom." "I'll call for him," Mom said, taking the items from Grandma. "You don't have